Hi everyone, welcome back to the Astro Imaging channel. Tonight we have a very interesting program. We have four gentlemen here who are going to talk about how AI can help with our images. Not can do your images, but can help do an evaluation. And this is a bit of software which is out there and up, and that's going to be discussed tonight. Before we get into that, next week we're going to have Bruce Harwig talk about star trails. And Bruce, you want to kind of give us your elevator pitch on your presentation?
Absolutely. My name's Bruce Herwig, and I love taking star trails. It is one of the fascinating things, as you know, being out under the stars. You're already shooting targets. You might as well stick up another camera and then create some beautiful art pieces as well. I'll be talking about camera settings, different techniques, as well as introducing my Star Trail Cleaner program that will take out all of the airplanes and satellite images that muck up your images. So look forward to talking to you next week.
Cool, cool. And tonight, Vin is going to be doing a presentation, but Alex, our own Alex, is going to be part of it. Azure, and who am I missing? Who am I missing? Fill me in.
Kevin.
Kevin. How could I miss Kevin? The four of them have cooperated on this project, but Vin's going to be doing the presentation, and the rest of them are going to be supported as we go along. So without further introduction, Vin, the presentation is yours.
Thanks, Eric. Hi, everybody. I'm here in the UK, so it's slightly late or early on Monday morning. It's about 2:30 in the morning here. So if I'm making less sense than I would normally, that's my excuse. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. I'm just going to run through a presentation with some introductions, and then we're going to cut to hear from Kevin and Azar and Alex, and then we can come back and open it up for general discussion. So let me press the share screen button. And now I will not be able to see you, but but hopefully you can see my screen. If someone could just say yes.
Yes, we can see you just fine. Thanks.
Great. Awesome. Awesome. So my name is Vin. The presentation is on Astroscore, which is what I've just sort of calling the tool, the website.
Then,
yeah.
I think you have stopped your presentation. Can you restart?
Oh no, I haven't. Did it move?
Are we still going? Because I'm seeing his picture, not the presentation.
I've just moved to the next slide. It says what we'll cover today. Is that happened for you?
It looks like on YouTube we're not seeing the presentation right now.
I don't, but you can see it on the Google Meet?
No, you might want to try resharing, Vin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So stop sharing and then reshare.
Okay, apologies. Allow to share screen.
Share entire screen.
Share entire screen.
My guess is that he hit the stop sharing button instead of the hide sharing accidentally.
Okay. Can you see the front page now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh. Oh, this is interesting. You can see me though?
Yes. So when we see you and not your presentation, that means you're not presenting.
That is very strange because when I tested this out,
can you see the stop sharing button?
Yeah, I have to go. If I go back into my browser and yeah, I'm saying allow to share screen. You can share entire screen or a window. Allow to share screen. share entire screen. Can you see it's like just a blank pixel size screen right now?
Yes, you're all good now. So just go to your presentation.
Okay.
We're seeing a fixed inside screen.
No,
Now
we're
you
good.
should be seeing.
And now what we'll cover today, but we're seeing the working form of it. Yeah, that's it. Click on
Okay.
that.
So now,
And
yeah,
now we'll
you're
see
good
a
now.
presentation.
Okay, great.
You're good. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Sorry about that. It's midnight gremlins. But anyway, so the presentation, this is roughly what I'm proposing that we'll cover. So just a quick introduction, followed by just chatting about what made me want to try and build this, how does it work, a live demo, and then some I guess personal use comments on what, from my perspective, this tool is and isn't about, and then a little bit of chat about the sort of the cost, the sustainability, some of the early feedback, and then I'm going to hand it over to Kevin, Alex, and Azar, who have interacted with the tool over quite a few of the different iterations, and really it's hear from them what they think about it. And then we'll just wrap it up with a really interesting, well, I found it really intriguing, this whole process of working with artificial intelligence, and then open it up to chats. So hopefully you can move to see the next screen, the next page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So yeah, so as I said, my name is Vin. I'm very much an amateur astrophotographer. I started imaging from Bortle 9 sites here in the UK, did a little bit of travel imaging on holiday, and that it led me into remote imaging, which I started about 10 months ago from a new remote observatory in South Africa. I tend to image just because I find what's out there quite beautiful. So I tend to approach things very much from a sort of fine art perspective and a almost, contemplative perspective. It's quite humbling to see the scale of space, right? And that's very much sort of my personal journey into imaging. I play around with a little bit of very, very amateur building of some tools and scripts. Overall, I think my general approach to this tool, but also just my general approach to my astrophotography is one of Kaizen. So just always looking to continuously improve. I don't believe there's such a thing as perfection at all, but especially in sort of creative fields. But continuous improvement is very much, I guess, my personal guiding philosophy. So the problem with improving was that, when you start in the UK, it's a steep learning curve anyway for astrophotography. There's so much to learn, and I sort of came back into it after many decades away. And what amateurs can do is what really I remember the professional scientists being able to do when I was a teenager. So it's amazing, but it's a steep learning curve. And then I found a little plateau. And in the UK, that the limiting factors are it's thin data. It's it's very poor weather. If I get 150 hours of data sometimes in a year in the UK, I have to count myself lucky. When I set up a remote scope in South Africa, which was Bortle 1 skies, everything changed. The sky quality was amazing. The amount of data that was coming through was amazing, and really the bottleneck shifted from not having enough data to not having enough feedback. How do I improve, right? And how can I improve when there's just so much data coming through? And initially, you sort of so I'm on to the next slide now. The feedback problem, initially you ask, and the great thing about the community is there's lots of forums. People are pretty kind and generous and will share their feedback. But then there are also.
I'm sorry to interrupt you again, but
We
it
lost the
looks
screen
like
again.
we lost you again.
Oh no. Okay. This is
Not
strange
sure
because.
why.
Okay, let me. May have to be restarting my screen sharing each time. That's so strange.
Yeah, that is strange.
Uh,
Just make sure you're not hitting the stop sharing button.
No, I'm not yet.
Okay.
What about now? Can you see it now?
Yep, you're back.
Okay, great. I wonder
We'll
if there's
keep
a
an eye on it.
timer. So you can see the slide saying the feedback problem?
We
Yes.
can, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. So yeah, the feedback problem, if it stops sharing again, please let me know. Maybe there's a timer that's stopping the sharing every so often. But the feedback problem that I found was that time zones and, you know, brevity, forum posts, you can't really enter into huge long conversations. I call it inconsistency. You can call it variability. I think human critique is idiosyncratic. It's part of its charm. It's part of its strength. But as a learner, it does make it difficult to learn systematically because different people will have different comments, which is great. But often, sometimes the same person will give different feedback at different points in time. And so, as a learner, you're always trying to figure out, you know, what to make of that. And also, you just don't want to keep asking people again and again and again. You know, it feels like you're imposing a burden. So the question I asked myself was, can a consistent, structured rubric be created that would give me just repeatable baseline feedback that I could use to track my own improvement, right? And that's what led to create the Astroscore. Can you see the next slide, which says, what kind of problem is this?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So I thought I would try and use and see what could be done with artificial intelligence, machine learning techniques. And at first I thought, what sort of problem is this? My initial thoughts were thinking about this as what's known as a supervised machine learning approach, where you train an algorithm on labeled data sets. So for example, you could use Astro tiers and use them as the ground truth. And the idea is the algorithm would learn to classify and score. And as I looked into that, what I realized was that that approach can work very well where ground truth is very clear, where it's very unambiguous, you know, things like star roundness or in different fields, cancer cell detection, right? But where if it's something about art and craft, that's actually more difficult. Partly because of the variability, and also partly because there's a danger where if you encode something as ground truth, you sort of enforcing that aesthetic consensus, where you're saying this aesthetic consensus of what is considered beauty is the ground truth, and that you know, I struggled with that because I think, you know, it's as the saying goes, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. There are many ground truths. And I really wanted to avoid what was the academy problem in fine art, where, you know, there was once upon a time the great academies would be the judge of what constituted art, and those academies, you know, rejected impressionism when it came, rejected cubism, rejected modernism, and I didn't want that to be happening. I tend to get very nervous when there's sort of consensus around what is considered to be beautiful or not beautiful. And that took me away from this supervised machine learning approach, and it really took me more towards the large language model approach. And I think it's a phenomenal new technology that is you know, we've all heard and seen what it's capable of doing. And what I liked about this other approach of using LLMs was that it allowed for really using as input pretty much a much wider, deeper, broader sort of set of data, if you will, on photography, art, other images, techniques, and the LLMs analyze across that, and they don't, rather than sort of try and optimize for a fixed label. So the tool uses, for example, Astro tiers as a reference frame, but it does not use them as training labels. It does not use them as training sets. I wanted to build a tool that did not enforce a particular consent, or did as little as possible in enforcing a consensus, and instead it sort of reflected all the different approaches to astrophotography and imagery and all the different feedback and reactions that there are out there. And that's possible just because of the sheer computational power that these LLM models can do. I also wanted to try and build a tool that could handle what I think of as contextual nuance a lot better, right? There's just a difference in what you can do from a borderline backyard versus if you have, an amazing telescope halfway up a mountain.
Vin, I hate to tell you this again, but it looks like it dropped off.
Okay, no, don't worry. At least we know that there's a workaround. I will stop sharing and start sharing again. Allow to share screen.
Ben, you've gotten very quick at this. So
I know.
way to go. Yeah, you're good. You're a learner.
Exactly. Claude would be proud of me.
You're back.
Thank you. So the next slide is what this tool is and isn't about. Hopefully you can see that. And again, as I said at the start, this is a personal view as both the person who sort of built this tool, what I was trying to build, and also as a user. And what this tool is hopefully about is, and we'll hear from other folks who, and I have no idea what they're going to say, and I think what's been really interesting is seeing how different people use the tool has been really intriguing. But for me, what the tool is about is it's a structured, consistent feedback tool. It's a starting point for thinking about an image, but I don't want it to be a verdict on an image. The tool is hopefully context aware, and a lot of the versions that I've sort of iterated and developed have been to make it more nuanced, more context aware. And I want it to be, it's just one voice, right? The tool is not designed to replace human feedback. So when I make my images because hopefully the people I care about, my family, my friends, will like them. I use the tool as a feedback tool, but ultimately it's the creative process is a human process, and I'm doing it for a human audience of my family and friends. So, for me, human feedback is super important, and the tool is not designed to eliminate it. It's just designed to give a structured feedback so people can follow the way an image is changing and also improve their own skills. So what isn't the tool? The tool isn't gospel. I often disagree with it, right? And that's my personal aesthetic. My personal aesthetic, for example, is I prefer my colors slightly more muted. And so the tool will often say, if it recommends doing this. Now, it's recommending it based on its analysis of all the other images and data points out there, but my aesthetic is my aesthetic. So I often disagree with it, and I will often not do things that it would suggest. That means I don't use the tool to maximize scores. I'm not chasing awards. That's not why I image. And the tool is not, as you can see, what I call it, it's not an arbiter of aesthetic merit. It's for me, the human is really important to stay center in this. It's my image. It's what I want from that image. And also, the tool isn't a substitute for developing your own eye and instinct. What I found is the feedback of the tool helps me train my eye. So when I'm processing something, I will pick up things slightly faster, slightly quicker. And I guess that's just the learning process. So I moved on to the next slide. Did it change for you guys?
You're okay. I'll let you know. I'm keeping my mic on, so I'll let you know.
Great, thanks. Thank you, I appreciate that. So the way the tool works is it analyzes images around 8 parameters, and I've broken them into 2 different, I think of them in 2 buckets. One is the technical bucket, the other is a more aesthetic bucket. The technical buckets are things around signal to noise ratio, star quality, detail, gradient, noise. And then the aesthetic one is much more subjective, which is why I sort of classify them as different buckets around processing choice, the composition, the color palette. Each of these 8 parameters is scored individually, and then it comes up with a composite score. And I'll show this in a demo.
Hosting and I'm online right now.
Okay,
Uh,
but
I'm hosting and I'm online right now.
yes,
Okay.
but you're also you're.
Yes, I gotta talk. Shut both the doors.
Eric, you're not on mute.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
No worries. And you'll see this in the demo that each parameter gets scored, and then there's a composite score. The composite score is you decide as the user what weights you want to give it, and you'll see this in the demo. And again, there's a reason for that, because I didn't want to build a tool that just reduced everything to one single score using one single formula, because that starts to become a verdict. For me, the score is kind of like a quick yardstick to see how an image is changing. That's it. So can you see the next page now? It says live demo.
Yeah, we can see live demo.
Okay, so now I'm going to try and be complicated and go to the website. And,
Don't close your browser. Don't close your browser.
No, I won't close the browser. I'm going to the same browser. Here you go. Can you now see what looks like?
Yeah, we can see that. You're good.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll give a quick run through of the layout. It seems so. First and foremost, this sun button toggles it from light to dark. I think it's probably easier if I leave it in light mode so that people can see it. There's home contacts, and then you can see here what is this. We'll come. This is more. A lot of the points that are summarized here will be discussed in this. But it's just so that if you look coming to the website later, you can see what it is. There's this ticker bar, which is feedback from folks who have used it. Here we come to the meat of what the way the tool works. So first and foremost, it says here.
Hang on a minute, Ben.
Yeah.
Are we live on YouTube with this? Yes, we are. Okay. I was not running live apparently on YouTube, and you were showing something that wasn't showing on YouTube. But you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Continue with your presentation.
Great. Thank you. So this, hopefully you can see my cursor moving. This is the meat of the tool. So before you do anything, the one thing I suggest is if you click on this, adjust pillar weights. Here, these are sort of 4 different categories, and you can decide the relative weighting of these categories for your composite score. So, it's pre-populated with something, but as long as these add up to 1, you can decide. So the pillars are all images, the images that were given top pick nominations, images that became top picks, and images that became IOTDs on AstroBin. These are just used as a reference frame. It's not training data, if you recall. So if I wanted to, I could change this to 0.1. This will tell you that it has to equal to 1. So I could say, okay, I'm going to increase that up to 0.35. Once you've done that, then you don't. A good thing, I would strongly recommend it because it's about giving the tool a little bit more information. Is you can give
Ben,
yeah.
I hate to interrupt again, but yes, you have logged off. Could you please log on again?
Oh, you mean the screen sharing is gone?
The screen sharing is gone.
Yeah, okay, no worries. Let me go. Allow to share screen, share entire screen. Can you see it now?
You're back.
Great. Thank you. So, once you've set your pillar weights, that's done. You can ignore those. Put in the details here. So I'm going to just put in an image that I had taken earlier. One of the first images I took from South Africa. So the Tarantula Nebula. You can specify what processing you're particularly using. So if it's just broadband, if it's a combination, imaging setup, if you can specify. So the image I'm going to be uploading, I used from a remote dark sky, so I specify that. The Bortle scale where you took the
Then-
image. So yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but they have bumped you off again.
Oh, okay. It's let me try that again. It's weird because I'm clicking allow to. Right. Is it
You're-
back?
You're back.
Great. So you can and use these drop down boxes to put in some information about the image. You can choose a feedback language, and this is, let's call it a work in progress image. And then you can either just drag it or just click on this, and it'll come up with a drop down box. I'm going to use this image, upload it. And then if you just scroll down, press analyze image, and you'll see it's telling you everything it's doing. And it takes a few seconds. Then this is where it's making a call back to Anthropic's basically computing stack, and it's come back with a composite score. The way the composite score is broken down, it is a technical score, an aesthetic score, and then in those pillars, you can sort of see how it compared to each of those reference pools of all images, top pick nominations, top picks, and IOTDs. These, as I said, this is not an absolute verdict. 6.9, you know, I set the sliders, but what it allows the user is you can keep a very quick eye on how that number is changing as you process an image to see what's going on. The meat of the feedback is in these buckets here. So there's quick summaries of the signal to noise, star quality, each of those. These thumbs up, thumbs down, that's an opportunity for you to give feedback on the tool. So if when you look at it, you think, actually, yeah, that's a pretty good comment, that's good feedback, you can just pick the thumbs up. If you thought, yeah, I don't think that's particularly technically good feedback, I think it's made a mistake there. This is not whether you agree with the feedback, this is about whether the feedback is accurate or not. You can just give it a down tick. That allows me behind the scenes to see whether parts of the tool are working better than other parts, right? The feedback itself isn't captured, the image isn't captured, it's just a way of seeing, of tweaking which parts of the tool are working. And then further down, there's more text, some strengths, areas for improvement, and overall assessments. If you scroll all the way down, a few folks had asked, they'd like to be able to save this feedback, so you can click this to download it as a text file, or click this to save it as a PDF. The one last thing I would show is you can also, if you wanted to change an image, there's the change button, you press that, this image will disappear and you'll be able to upload a different image. Or there's this mark region of interest. So if you click this, your image will show up here. You can just drag a box and it say, I just want my feedback to focus on that particular section, and just click it again. And it'll go through that whole analysis. And it'll come back with, you know, the score could be different, it could be better, it could be worse, based on what's going on in that particular region of interest. So just let this finish, just out of curiosity. Okay, so it really likes that the crop. So, you know, the overall image, it said 6.9, the crop it's saying 7.6. Now if I wanted to, I could actually go in and see what is it, but this is the, you know, the purpose of this is just to show the demo. I am now going to go back to my slide deck. Hopefully you can see that. Can you see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So last couple of things, and I'm going to open it back. So I think it's important to talk about sustainability. So there is, I'm sort of inspired by the community spirit that there is in astrophotography. There's so many tools that I use that are brilliant, that are really provided free. So, the cosmic photon scripts, GHS, SETI, all of those. I want to do something similar. The challenge is, because this makes a call to Anthropic's computational stack every time, there is a variable.
Then
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry about this, but
Mhm.
yes, you've dropped off again.
Okay, no worries. Let me share screen again. Can you see it again now?
We can see it again now.
Great, great. So as I was saying, I want the tool to be open and accessible to everyone, especially beginners. Although what's interesting is the tool seems to be useful for people across the ability curve, from beginners to folks who have, many folks who have more than one IOTD accolade. But because the tool makes a call every time, there is a per use cost. There's just no way of avoiding that. I've set this up as a buy me a coffee. So pay what you want when you want. If you're in Vietnam or in the US, $2, $5 is very different. So I don't want to exclude people on the basis of purchasing power. So initially this thing is just, buy me a coffee, pay what you want when you want. The reality is the usage is consistent. It is growing. Currently, the Buy Me a Coffee is just about covering the usage costs. As expected, the percentage of the users who have bought a coffee is less than the total percent of the total users who are using it. That's fine. That's what I was expecting. I am curious and slightly nervous about the showcase effect of this presentation, the Astro Imaging channel. I have no idea whether usage is the curve is going to shoot upwards or not. I don't know. We'll find out. What I'm trying to avoid is, I don't want advertising. I don't want to do data harvesting. And so I'm just putting this out there. I'm just flagging it, that if Buy Me a Coffee proves sufficient to cover costs, fantastic. That's the way it'll stay. If it doesn't, I don't know. Then I'm going to have to get my head around. Okay, how can this be on a sustainable model? Because I can't keep cross-subsidizing it for everybody. But as I said, right now, Buy Me a Coffee is just about covering costs. But there's been no other than a few forum posts. This presentation is probably the single biggest spotlight that is on this. So I have no idea what's going to happen to usage, to demand, to Buy Me a Coffee. Hopefully Buy Me a Coffee continues, because I would like to be able to keep the tool on a pay what you want when you want, ungated basis. Anyway, next, can you see the next slide? What people have been saying?
I'll let you know when something happens.
Okay, great.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
you're good.
Okay, so so this is just some of the quotes that came in from folks who have used it from different. These are all genuine, different people, and these are across in the ticker bar as well. It was really, speaking as the person who sort of going back to the motivation of why did I build this. It was nice to see this, right? People were saying, I've been looking for consistent feedback, etc. I'm going to pause this here now, because more important than just these quotes, though, is that three folks who have used the tool and have played with it have really kindly agreed to share their thoughts, and that's Kevin and Alex and Azar. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to stop sharing my screen where that's my choice, and hand it back to the three of them. So I've stopped sharing. Hopefully you can see my ugly mug, and it's over to the three of you guys.
All right. Well, I'll kick it off. First off, I have no presentation. Yay. But I wanted to give some thoughts on the Astroscore. The first thing is that, unbiased, transparent feedback on an image is a hard thing to get. I know about 3 people that I trust to give me unbiased feedback. And, that's 3 people whose feedback I actually trust as well, by the way. So they trust me, I trust them. But and one of them once gave me the question, have you had your eyes checked? And it turned out, they were right. My screen did need to be calibrated. It was green, and so you need that unvarnished stuff. Looking at your feedback on the comments in Astrobin is not going to get the job done. So I've been treating Astroscore much like my trusted imager friends who are reasonably capable, at least, and willing to tell me the truth. I find, though, that it's not like it's telling me something I don't know. It's telling me something I'm not seeing. Because I get so caught up maybe in trying to make a dark nebula this perfect flowy brown or something, but I'm missing what I did to the background somewhere, the stars. And so what it does is reopen my eyes after I've been digging in there too deep. Actually, the most recent photograph that I uploaded had that. There was a bright star, had some really red stuff going on around it. I did not catch it, and this brought me to it. I do think it's best to run this somewhere between 50 and 100% of the process. Too early is maybe not going to help. At the end, you may find something that's so buried so deep that it's hard to get back to and fix. So, maybe running it a few times throughout the process is a good idea. It is by no means foolproof. I guess we don't have a gender for it. It and I are at odds quite often about stars. It just really wants tight little stars. And I personally like my bright stars to be a feature of the composition. And in fact, there's a couple of IOTDs where I went out there and I pushed the bright stars because I thought that's what the image was about. Well, it didn't agree with that. But hey, it was an IOTD, so I felt like I was right. But also, I've seen it accept some stars that I thought were unacceptable. I went back to like a 6-year-old image that I did when I was unhappy with it. And it had these teeny tiny little stars that were, right after we got, the ability to remove stars, I went in and pushed them down too far. And there was these little hard dots. And it didn't give me a warning on that. So stars, maybe not the best thing. It does seem to have a pretty wide range of acceptable noise. Like I put in some images where I thought personally the noise was really on the high edge. It didn't have any comments. And there's some others where I'm like, I might have taken a little bit too much noise out here, but it was happy in both cases. But I think that's real. There is a pretty wide acceptable range of noise in images. It's good at identifying gradients, color balance issues, and those are some of the things that just don't pop right in front of you. So I would, and last thing here is I would recommend the TP weights more than the IOTD. I think IOTDs are very idiosyncratic. If you can imagine, I just imagine judges, it's not how it works, but judges looking at the 50 top picks they have to choose from, and it's whichever one, Squirrel leads me to, well, oh, that's really interesting. Let's look at that. Quality level, theoretically, should be all very similar for those that they have to choose from for the IOTDs. The top pick process weeds it through lots and lots of people. The quality level should, not always, but should be pretty good. And that's what I think this is going to help me best with. Whether it's a IOTD is more about, hey, how unusual is this? How interesting is this? Sometimes more compositional things. So useful, just like a good friend, but not the final answer. That'd be what I'd say.
Kevin, could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Could you explain to the people your experience in judging photographs? What job do you hold that might give you some background in what you just said?
Yeah, I've been on the reviewer. I think I can never remember whether it's submit or reviewer, but the ones that decide on top picks for several years now. I was also a judge in the Australian competition. So yeah, on pretty much a daily basis, I'm judging photographs somewhere that are not my own.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. And Asa, tell us a little about your background before you get into it.
Yeah, wonderful. I've been doing astrophotography now for about 3 years. The massive learning curve that is a part of this hobby has been super interesting. I think I've started with very small scopes, doing very wide field, and now getting into the more bigger focal lengths, which is a complete change in processing as well as what the image quality looks like and the aesthetic that comes out of this. Kevin said everything right about what the tool does. It's a trusted friend. It gives you a perspective. It gives you a direction sometimes. But I think the additional thing for myself is that it gives me things to look at to learn how to process. So what I've been using this tool for is if it tells me that I need to look at a gradient, or there's some filaments that need to be pulled out a little bit better, or stars that need to be changed, and then it tells me something that I have to look up and learn what to do to fix that. So for me, it's a learning tool rather than just the telling me about the aesthetics. I agree with Kevin. The aesthetics are really personal, and Vin, you said the same thing. If somebody likes my picture or somebody doesn't like my picture for the way that I've done it, that's a personal opinion as well. So I'm trying to use this more to learn how to process, how to improve my workflow, what other things I can include in there. And then Kevin, I think you said this as well earlier, is just the training of the eye. So what is the things that I should be looking for as I'm processing photos? So I'm using it a little bit differently. The numbers don't really matter so much to me. It's more what I'm learning from the tool and what I can do better with it.
Okay, thanks. I've been around the Astro Imaging channel for quite some time, and CloudyNights for quite some time. I'm not a particularly great astro imager. I mean, I make pretty pictures, and I really like them, and some of my friends like them, and some of my friends say, "Oh," and that kind of stuff. Just probably like everybody else.
Yeah, for sure.
And how do I judge my own photos? Well, I don't know if I know how to judge my own photos, but Ben's program has helped me look at things. I am in a position where I think it's really cool. I belong to Riverside Astronomical Society, and I think a few months back we had a presentation about astro imaging groups. And we happen to have a godsend in our astro imaging group. He's a guy who used to be a professional photographer, and he used to work with amateur photographers a lot. And they know how to do stuff, including help each other. Some of the things they do is they have the little help desks where you can come and bring your pictures and say, "Hey, what should I be doing with this picture?" And you'll just have 3 or 4 people help you with that. Another thing they do is they've got Zoom meetings where they show each other their pictures, and you all criticize each other's pictures, and you say, "Oh, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this," point out to you stuff like that. I don't think we have that going in astro imaging. I don't think we've got a lot of groups that can do that. And it's helped me a lot where Mark has brought in these techniques about criticizing, and criticizing good way. I mean, these are all our buddies. We joke around and stuff like that. Gives us a peer review of what's happening, and it's quite helpful to me. I've tried to make a list of what you need to check on in your astro images. And here's a list: signal to noise ratio, dynamic range, sharpness, resolution, color accuracy, noise and grain, calibration, tracking quality, shapes of stars, guiding, star shape, context, composition. Okay, that's my list. I should go down that. Just like every time I leave the house, I'm getting to that age. I got to count to 6. I got to make sure I got my wallet, my car keys, my phone, then my watch is number 4, and my hearing aids is number 5, and my glasses is number 6. So I count to 6 before I leave the house.
Great
well,
list.
on my astro imaging, I have to go look at that list, and it's easy to tell when my wallet's in my back pocket. I can feel it. But how do I know I got the good signal to noise? How does my dynamic range compare to everybody else's? Well, I found out when I hit up astroscore.leelastroimaging.org. And I'd suggest you give it a try. No, it is not telling you how to image. It's pointing stuff out, how that image that you turned in compares to other things. And as Kevin and Azure has told us, and Ben earlier, all it's doing is it compares it to what it has seen in other things. It tells you where you stand in relation to that. I've taken an image and gotten it rated at 6.1. And I said, "Oh, okay, let's go try that. Some of that's ideas." And it came back up as an 8.1. That's good. That's good. And you can do the same thing. Now, back to my real role here as one of the people who help run the Astro Imaging channel. I'm supposed to look at all of the questions that come in on chat. And TJ Astro, I believe, is the only one that's asked a question so far. You can still get them in here. Just go ahead and sign them in, guys. TJ wants to know, are you allowing users to use your Anthropic account or API to make these calls? Ben?
Yes. So I built the tool. And I built the sort of the parameters. And what the website does is, if you make the call, if you upload an image, it makes the call through that. That's why there is that.
Another way of asking that question is, so far it's all coming out of your pocket and with whatever people have contributed to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, TJ? And well, it's time for any questions that are out there. Hi, Mrs. Morfeld.
Vin, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows who I am. I've been doing this for a few years. I didn't hear anything about composition. And I say this, the rule of three is the golden rule, not as common as some of the other things that you're looking at, but finding the image in your image. Remember, your sensor is your sensor. That's it. And it's going to frame whatever object you're going to, but finding the image and composing it, to me, makes as much difference almost as everything else.
Yeah, you're spot on. And what I've noticed is that the tool does give some commentary when it's analyzing an image on what it perceives as the composition. But to allow that to happen slightly more efficiently is why I built the region of interest capability. Because what I was finding myself doing was, I would upload an image and it would sort of say, okay, either the composition or the edges or something like that, and then I would go back, edit the image, chop it, and crop it, and then re-upload it. And I thought that's actually quite inefficient. So the thinking behind that ROI capability is that once you've uploaded the image as it's come off your sensor, let's say you've cropped it for edge artifacts, and that's it, then you can either get the entire image analyzed, or you can sort of say, well, actually, I want this particular framing where I'm choosing the composition that I want. And then that's the section that gets analyzed. And if you're happy with that, then you can just choose to do your crop on that basis.
Yes, but that eliminates the ability of your LLM on making decisions on composition. Because
it'll analyze the composition of your crop.
But that's something you do automatically. If you've made a bad decision, it should say, by this kinds of rule, you should really frame it here. And we have plenty of pixels in our image, so it makes no difference if we crop it, rotate it, or do whatever with it. So to me, at the end of the image, I sit and I look and I see, okay, where is my image? What is it? What is it that I should be presenting?
Yeah. No, you're spot on. You're spot on. I mean, what I find, because I don't have a camera rotator, so there's just certain frames. There's just certain orientations that I have to take my images in. So I just try to fudge around it. But hopefully the tool does give commentary. Quite often, again, I think, I'm only speaking personally here, sometimes I actually like that something is off center, because I want to try and include a different object, and it may not be a classical composition, it may not be in the, meet the golden rule, and that's fine, because it's my image.
I think we all fall into the trap. Let's put the thing right in the middle. And that is often not the best way to present it. By the way, I was going to ask, can you upload TIFFs and JPEGs?
Yeah. There used to be a max file size, but what I've noticed is it can actually take a little bit bigger than that as well.
We do have a question coming off from DJ again, DJ Astro. Have you thought about releasing this as an open source tool that users could use as a skill with Claude instead of using your Claude usage? Also, what model are you using for this?
Ooh, that's a great question. I hadn't. I am a. I'm not a software person by background, so the idea of trying to setting this up as a skill, I'd have to look into that. Like, what does that mean? What does that involve? So I'll have to look in. I'll have to look into that.
I know a computer you can ask that question to.
So it sounds like your tool is designed to be used the way I tend to use AI with writing. I don't have the AI do my writing, but I'll often throw my writing into it and make sure that I'm coherent and making the points that I want to make and that kind of thing. And a lot of times it might give me some feedback, but it doesn't understand truly the conceptual stuff behind it and why I'm necessarily doing something a little bit differently. And so, it's just another tool to evaluate things. It's not the actual decider of what's good and bad. Ultimately, if you like the image, then it's a good image, and if you don't like the image, it's not.
Yeah,
I think Eric asked earlier, whose picture is this anyway, or something along those lines. Like, why are you to be telling me how the composition should go? Well, I don't think it's telling you that. It's telling you what other people might have done and what the convention is, what the Academy might have said. That's all it's doing. It's not telling you to do anything different. I know that I had a couple of composition problems. One was pretty stupid. What was it, M8 or M20 or something like that? It's a big red nebula. It's right next to a star cluster, and most people image the two of them together. And in Nina, when you call up the image, you can't see it. You particularly can't see it very well when you're remote, and it's been translated across several internet connections. Anyway, so I basically did a good job of composing and placing the red nebula someplace, but that left me half the star cluster. Now, how do I get rid of the star cluster? Well, I put the nebula down, I just didn't see the star cluster and forgot it was there. I was actually testing equipment that night more than trying to get a picture. But so all it did was tell me, hey, what about that composition, silly? Look at it. That's all it did. So it's still my picture.
You're limited by your telescope and your data and how much you have.
Yeah.
But you have complete freedom on composition.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. And that should be, it should be almost the first thing you think of when you're, setting up your field of view is composition.
Absolutely. One of the things that Kevin said is a trap I've fallen into many times where you get so focused in on one detail, you don't realize what you're doing to the rest of the image, and you come back to it later and it's like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, composition should be the first thing, I think. I mean, whenever I'm setting up my object and throwing it in the library, waiting for it to get shot, I mean, that's the very first thing is rotation, composition. And then when I get the first 10, 20 subs back, I put it together and then check, okay, is there anything there? Is that really negative space like I thought it was? Or is there something there? Or maybe it's not bright enough to fill the negative space, and I'll recompose sometimes twice.
Elsie wants to know. I've got a question from the internet, and these guys are waiting for their answers, so I'm going to ask it. Els 8, or maybe it's Els B. I don't know. How is your tool different from just asking AI to judge or give feedback? ChatGPT seems capable of giving feedback on a variety of image parameters.
Yeah, I haven't used ChatGPT. I used it in a very early incarnation, and I didn't really get on with it. I found it too sycophantic. I've been really impressed by Claude. But yeah, I mean, there's no reason an LLM model shouldn't be able to do it. I guess the difference The one thing, there's been a lot of iteration that's gone into this, but at the end of the day, it's an LLM model.
Thank you.
Yeah, ChatGPT is if you're not programming it, I think like Vin has done, where you're sending it somewhere to look and you're giving it certain parameters, it just gives you very high level sort of feedback, and some of it doesn't actually really make sense when you try to implement it. So I have tried that. That was my initial phase as well, but I think this is a little more sophisticated than just a straight ChatGPT check.
I don't think ChatGPT is of any value whatsoever in evaluating images. I mean, I use it for other things, but this is a piece of art. That's the last thing, is I want to have some language model decide whether my art is artistic.
I might want to point out that there's a long discussion on Cloudy Nights on this particular program. And if you want to continue talking about it, you can go over there and get in some feedback, some other points of view. And we have everybody, yeah, we have all the questions from chat and YouTube.
Are we taking
back
care
to
of
you, Eric? You're in charge.
Well, Vin, thanks so much for the presentation. It's certainly a site that I'm going to go to probably tomorrow morning to take a look. I don't know quite how I'm going to react to its evaluation.
Please share.
We will certainly find out. And
By the way, the link is in the chat. The link's up there where Linda put it in, I think.
Oh, I need to put it in. I'll do that.
No, I think it is in.
Oh, somebody else did it.
I don't know.
guys, thanks for
HTTPS astroscore.leela Astro Imaging. There's two A's. Leela.
Yeah,
Astro
LeelaAstroimaging.org.
Okay.
And guys, once we end the program, if you'd like, you can stay on and we can chat about this when the program's done. Vin, I know you need to get some sleep, but you might as well just kind of give it up for tonight and do what we did in college and just pull an all-nighter. We looked at the watch and go, it's 4 o'clock. No sense in going to sleep. But on that note, thanks again, everyone. Be sure to tune in next week. We have a good presentation on star trails, and good night. And let's take us out.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Got it, honey.